Now, the last class we were seeing about research methodology. Mein, what are the steps in research? What were the steps in research process? I will list them here. Okay. First
Ma'am,
of
it is
all,
second chapter.
identify
Yes, ma'am.
a research problem. Right. That was our first step. And I said all these individual steps. There were 7 steps, and all the individual steps we will be discussing. Right. So when we say identify a research problem, the first step. So what do you mean by research problem? Refers to a topic or title of a research, or basically what are you going to study about? What is actually the research that you require in this area? Like for example, when I say I want to research on the performance of students before and after the lectures, right? I'll have an assessment uh, before lectures, and 30 lectures I will conduct and assess their performance, right? And I will see if my lecture has an impact on their performance. This is what it is going to be. I'm going to identify the research problem, which is the heart of the study. In the last class, we said we discussed 7 steps involved in research, 7 major steps. So we said, what is research? Means throwing light on something or learning something, how cause and effect of certain things. What is the cause of certain thing? What is the effect on it? So many such things we learned. What is a research? What are the types of research, etc. So when we said finally, research has 7 major steps. What were the 7 major steps? Identifying a research problem, and then you review the literature, and then you decide on a research design. Then you are going to collect data, analyze the data, interpret the data, and then draw a conclusion, and finally report the research with references, right? So we saw these steps. So now the first step was identifying a research problem. Problem क्या है, किस में रिसर्च करना है मुझे स्टूडेंट्स के परफॉर्मेंस के ऊपर करना था. जब स्टूडेंट्स के परफॉर्मेंस के ऊपर करना था, आई वांटेड टू एक्चुअली रिसर्च ऑन द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ माय लेक्चर. एग्जैक्टली क्या एरिया था, मैंने लेक्चर लिया, उसका कुछ असर पड़ा बच्चों के ऊपर. तो मैं क्या करती, बिफोर द लेक्चर्स आई कंडक्ट एन असेसमेंट, and I conduct 30 lectures. Again, I conduct an assessment. I want to see if there is an impact on the lecture on the students. Are you following this? So I decide, identifying a problem matlab, I decide on what I have to study. What is the heart of the study? Now, what is actually a research problem? Research problem is the main organizing principle guiding the analysis of your paper or study or work or whatever, right? The problem under investigation जो है ना, अभी मैंने बोला impact of my lecture is going to be the problem under investigation. Is going to offer an occasion for writing and focus that governs what we want to say. I want to say something. My lectures have had an impact on these students, right? So I need to actually have a proper way of reporting it, writing what I want to say. And then it is the core subject, matlab ekdam principal subject of scholarly communication, and the means by which we arrive at that other topics of conversation, discovery of new knowledge, understanding. I may even come to something else, like for example, if I will say impact of my lecture. Impact of my lecture may my way of breaking down things. Students would have given like my way of breaking down things. जो क्लास में मैंने एग्जाम्पल बोले थे उन्होंने पेपर में वही लिखे हो. And then maybe like I feel that when I lecture, I have to give more examples so that students understand it better. So many other new learnings will crop up when I'm going to be identifying the research problem and conducting the research practically. When we say problem under investigation, जो है, like my problem under investigation was impact of my lectures on students. बराबर? It is going to give me an occasion for writing and it is giving the focus exactly मुझे क्या लिखना है. जब मैं lecture दे रही थी, I explained that students have quoted the same example. When I assessed their papers, I found that जो example मैंने class में दिया था, वही उन्होंने quote किया है. So it has given me another way of writing. Examples make it easier for them to understand. Correct? So that is one way. It is helping me give a focus. जब मैं लिखती हूँ एक focus, कुछ भी हवे में नहीं लिखती हूँ और unconnected नहीं लिखूंगी. If I do this, it is going to give me a focus. Are you following? To what I want to actually say. Did you understand? Now, what are the sources of a problem? Problems कहाँ से हमें मिल सकते हैं? Research problem. Problem मतलब दिक्कत नहीं. जो चीज़ research करना है, वो कहाँ से आ सकते हैं? Number one, real life. I keep telling you, daily life में हम research कर रहे हैं. Like for example, I want to reach office at 9 o'clock. What time do I wake up? What time do finish my daily activities? And then what time do I set out of the house? What mode of transportation do I use so that I reach at 9 o'clock in the office, right? This itself is a research, right? Identifying a research problem can be simple also by observing the complications and issues in your local workplace. Supposing I say the whole day I get stressed, what is the cause of my stress? And to what extent is the stress? How did I identify that I was stressed out? All these things can be identified. That is also a research, right? And again, when you see like ongoing issues on a daily basis in my workplace, at home, like I have a struggle with my colleagues, I have a struggle with the workload I have a struggle with the boss, I have a struggle with my subordinates, peers, etc. etc. Right? Ye Sara are also adding to the stress. Not only that, I am also seeing what obstacles I am getting. Like for example, reaching the workplace itself is a stress, right? So much of traffic. People don't follow the traffic rules. And then I end up reaching late. So all these add to the stress, right? So I'm going to see exactly what is it that I'm getting stressed out or stressed up at, and what is it that is giving me the stress, and what is the extent of the stress. मैं कैसे manage कर रही हूँ? Do I pick up a headache? Like for example, every day, end of the day, I end up sleeping with a terrible headache, जिसके वजह से नींद भी पूरा नहीं होता है. हेडेक इतना ज़्यादा होता है कि नींद पूरा नहीं होता है मेरा. तो मैं क्या करती हूँ, ये हेडेक का वजह क्या है, आई विल फर्स्ट एनालाइज, राइट. आई विल गो टू अ डॉक्टर, सिंपल थिंग. एक तो डोलो 50 खा जाऊंगी. सेकेंडली, आई विल गो टू अ डॉक्टर. द डॉक्टर सेज यू आर फिजिकली फिट, नथिंग रॉन्ग विथ यू एक्सेट्रा. देन ही स्टार्ट्स आस्किंग मी क्वेश्चंस. डू यू स्लीप फॉर 6 hours अ डे और डू यू स्लीप फॉर 8 hours? आपको नींद चैन से आती है? नहीं डॉक्टर, नींद चैन से नहीं आती है. क्या होता है? देन ऐसे मुझे 2 घंटे तक सर दर्द होता है और 12 बजे को सोती हूँ, 4 बजे को उठ जाती हूँ. देन ही सेज व्हाई डू यू स्लीप एट 12 o'clock? देन आई से दैट मुझे 2 घंटा तक नींद नहीं आता है, इसीलिए 10 बजे को फिर भी लेटती हूँ, नींद नहीं आती. क्यों? Then he will start examining what do you eat, what is your daily routine, etc. Right? So now what has happened here? Instead of, me going to the doctor, if I start self-analyzing, तो भी मैं यही end up करूँगी. The cause of headache, the cause of stress. So ultimately, it is because of the stress. Now I'll go into deeper issues. Why is the stress happening? So if the stress is happening, now I am going to find solutions, right? So वो बाद में देखेंगे. अभी मैंने research क्या किया है? How to, and I'm going to research on how to get rid of this headache. How to have a peaceful 6 to 8 hours sleep. है कि नहीं? So sources are n number. So now when I say this, I am going to be, sources are going to be n number. यूनिवर्स में इतने सारे सोर्सेस है, इतने सारे प्रॉब्लम्स टू रिसर्च, राइट? नाउ again continuing scholarly arena, right? What is scholarly arena? मतलब जो रिसर्च ऑलरेडी किया है वो प्लेटफॉर्म भी मेरा है. I can get a problem from there also. Now research problems can be identifying by reviewing recent literature. Now what I did was, first case was I went to the doctor. बराबर? डॉक्टर ने कैसे पहचाना कि ये स्ट्रेस के वजह से है? क्योंकि ही हैज एसोसिएटेड इट विद अ लॉट ऑफ लिटरेचर्स. मतलब जो लोगों को होता है, a lot of people end up having headache because of the stress, correct? So that is applicable to me also. So it is a literature, basically literature matlab, again if I had identified, I also said that these are some things, maybe I will check the net or maybe I will talk to people, I will find out. अच्छा इसको भी हेडेक है because he is also going through a long day. जब भी इसको long day होता है इसको भी हेडेक होता है. She also has it the same way. So I try to identify whenever he or she is also going through such problems, they also end up having headaches, and then they also start having this. This is a real life situation. But if I go more into academic research, right? Academic मतलब जैसे project कर रही हूँ, ठीक है? Project के लिए कौन सा area लूँ? Going back to the first step of identification of a problem. Project के लिए आप कैसे topic ढूंढोगे? जैसे हमने आविष्कार का किया था. Ongoing में क्या था? हमने, how many of you were there? COVID vaccination. ऑनगोइंग में क्या क्या था? कोविड वैक्सीनेशन का एक इशू हमने लिया था. ओके, नाउ आई शेयर माय स्क्रीन अगेन सर. So when I had this COVID vaccination issue, and the government had announced people over 45 will be vaccinated and all the health workers will be vaccinated first, right? So we found that there was hesitancy. So we started researching what is this hesitancy due to, क्यों उनको नहीं करवाना है? Hesitancy means मुझे vaccination नहीं लेना है, right? There are still people who don't want to get vaccinated. Stock नहीं है अलग बात है, but at an individual level, if you see, they don't want to get vaccinated. What is the reason for it? Can I try and identify? So what I do, I will select some people, right? That is one of the sources of research problem where people do not want to get vaccinated because I am observing what is happening, right? तो मैंने एक research problem चुना. So now I am going to go to recent literatures to review, right? Like what is this vaccination all about and why are they vaccinating? What are the benefits? And if people are hesitant, what could be the reason? So is that literature? Literature मतलब जो पहले किया हुआ research है, जो people, many people did not get vaccinated against certain, say for example, there were epidemics which had already spread like this. Like for example, SARS had spread. Did people get vaccinated? When it was made compulsory, they were still hesitating. Was the same hesitancy followed here also? वही कारण है क्या? वो सब हम देखते हैं, right? Was there a hesitation first of all? Yes. If yes, what was the reason? तो इतना सारा हमने किया था, बराबर? तो सेम वे वी आर गोइंग टू लुक एट लिटरेचर रिव्यू. पहले के रिपोर्ट्स उन्होंने कैसे डेटा कलेक्ट किया था, उसका डेटाबेस क्या है, कैसे एनालाइज किया और कैसे कैसे फाइंडिंग्स आए थे, एक्सेट्रा, राइट? एंड देन वी आर गोइंग टू रिकमेंड. लास्ट टाइम ऑल्सो दिस वॉज द प्रॉब्लम, नाउ ऑल्सो दिस इज द प्रॉब्लम. Maybe awareness campaigns, role plays, all these things can be, I mean, street plays, etc., can be conducted more to promote vaccination and to remove people out of vaccination. ये सब clarity हमें कैसे आती है? Just as I told you, headache is a common this thing for people who are under stress. ये कैसे मैंने find out किया? मैंने people से survey किया था. इसके पहले भी मुझे हुआ है, उसका भी कारण यही था. इसके पहले लोगों को भी हुआ है, उसका भी कारण यही था, बराबर? Are you following? Lot of such theories can be tested. एक example दो. Take up an example in finance. The same first two steps जो है ना, first two real life. Like most of you are investing, correct? Somewhere पोस्ट ऑफिस में करोगे, बैंक एफडी में करोगे, स्टॉक मार्केट में करोगे, म्यूचुअल फंड में करोगे, करेक्ट? नाउ आई से दैट मार्केट्स आर गोइंग अप, इकोनॉमी इज गोइंग डाउन. पहले मुझे किसी ने बताया था लास्ट ईयर, मैम आपने बताया था स्टॉक मार्केट इज द बैरोमीटर ऑफ एन इकोनॉमी. तो रोज रोज देखो तो मार्केट बढ़ता जा रहा है, whereas इकोनॉमी इतना बढ़ता नहीं है, ऊपर से कमजोर होता जा रहा है, लोगों को जॉब नहीं है, राइट? देन देर आर लॉकडाउन इम्पोज, रेस्ट्रिक्शंस इम्पोज. तो फिर भी क्यों हो रहा है ऐसा? स्टॉक मार्केट क्यों बढ़ रहा है? सो विल यू स्टार्ट, दैट इज अ सोर्स ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम, राइट? एंड देन आई एम गोइंग टू चेक आउट ऐसे क्राइसिस के टाइम पहले क्या हुआ था. पीपल मस्ट हैव रिसर्च ना, कोई क्राइसिस हुआ होगा, क्या हुआ था स्टॉक मार्केट को, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स को क्या हुआ था, एक्सेट्रा, राइट? दैट इज एडिंग टू द लिटरेचर. वहाँ से भी निकाल सकते हो. वहाँ पे मुझे कुछ नया चीज़ दिखाई दिया, अगेन आई वॉन्ट टू रिसर्च ऑन दैट. समझ में आ रहा है? आई फाइंड दैट अमंग द इन्वेस्टमेंट एवेन्यूज, उसमें पैसे क्राइसिस के टाइम में मुझे स्टॉक मार्केट इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी प्रॉफिटेबल, इसके हिसाब से. सो लेट मी स्टार्ट रिसर्चिंग. Now, evaluation of a research problem. I found out the sources. Now, once I find a potential research problem, I need to find out if it is worth the research or not. ठीक है? Research करने लायक problem है क्या? And if yes, I'm talking more about the academic research here. ठीक है? And the research problem is going to be appropriate only when I have a proper review of literature. कुछ भी हवे में नहीं बोल सकती हूँ. Even if I say that large cap stocks are going up, so the market is going up, even if I find that as a conclusion, I'm going to hunt if somebody else has also said that, has proven that, and I'm going to say I am supporting this person in saying that large cap stocks have caused the market to go up. Okay, so हर एक लाइन में I need to find a literature and then review that, considered significant, and it has to be timely. Like I'm not doing it in the normal period, so I'm taking pandemic time. And again, it has to be specific. Any problem has to be specific. Any problem has to be researchable. Any problem should have a literature to support it. And stronger the research problems are, more likely you can succeed in publication, presentation, and application. Are you following? Is research problem is appropriate only when you have literature. मतलब किसी ने study किया है, you may agree with the findings, you may not. That is your decision based on your finding, but it has to have an evidence and it should be significant. इतना vital होना चाहिए, important होना चाहिए. It has to be timely, right? I cannot talk about production of steel in 1996 to 2010. Research will be redundant. तभी के scenario अलग था, अभी का scenario अलग है, right? So I cannot say it is not timely. It has to be novel. It should add to knowledge. It should be something new that adds to the knowledge of people, stock of knowledge of people. It has to be specific and researchable. It should be specified. I mean, मुझे specific रहना चाहिए. It should be researchable, right? And stronger the research problems are, more likely to succeed in publication, presentation, and application. Research को मैं publish कर सकती हूँ. I can present it and I can even apply it wherever it is. ये हो रहा है तो आप ये देखो करके मैं बोल सकती हूँ. Are you following? Presentation कैसे होता है? मैंने जैसे बोला था आपको, you have to first identify the base. ठीक है, मुझे पहले रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई करना है. So I am sticking on to your finance example. Okay, I'm sticking on to your finance example. Shabnam has given me an example to be covered. COVID, ठीक है, COVID-19. Now, when I say, I will go back to my earlier slide जो है, I said I'm going to research about COVID-19. ठीक है, COVID-19 में I'm going to research about COVID-19. Okay, how it spreads. I'll have to first narrow down the area. COVID-19 is a very vast topic. It's an ocean. ओशन में मुझे रिसर्च मैं एक्चुअली नहीं कर पाऊंगी, तो मैं क्या बोल रही हूँ, सबका पॉजिटिव निकला है तो क्या वजह हो सकता है, व्हाट इज इट, हाउ इज इट स्प्रेडिंग, राइट. सो सिम्टम्स, ओके, एंड मेजर्स टू प्रिवेंट. सपोजिंग मैं लास्ट ईयर रिसर्च कर रही थी, मैं कोविड-19 के ऊपर कर रही हूँ, हाउ इट स्प्रेड्स, व्हाट आर द सिम्टम्स एंड हाउ कैन आई प्रिवेंट इट. ठीक है, सो लेट मी चेक वन थिंग. रिसर्च प्रॉब्लम जो है, विल आई गेट लिटरेचर ऑन दिस, हाउ विल आई गेट लिटरेचर ऑन दिस. प्रीवियस एपिडेमिक्स के बारे में लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा, राइट. ऐसे काफ़ी बीमारियां हुए होंगे लोगों को. सो I will search for all these. I will check for all the viral infections. I will check because this is supposing I feel I am doing it for the first time. Last time जब शुरू हुआ था, I am checking what is it actually and I am doing the research on that. ठीक है, तो मैं देखती हूँ ऐसे काफ़ी वायरल इन्फेक्शंस है, तो उसके कैसे कैसे क्या क्या रिसर्च किए गए थे. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल स्वास, स्वाइन फ्लू, रोटा वायरस, राइट. तो ऐसे सारे डिसीजेस मैं उनके लिटरेचर पढ़ती हूँ, उनके ऊपर जो किया गया रिसर्च है वो पढ़ती हूँ, बराबर. सो आई हैव एड्रेस द प्रॉब्लम ऑफ गेटिंग माय रिसर्च, ओके, लिटरेचर. ठीक है, देन आई एम गोइंग टू सी, is it important? Yes, it is important because I don't want more people to be affected, right? So it is very, very important. Is it timely? Last year, when I started the research, it was timely. It was a timely research. I needed to know how it spread, what symptoms people are facing, and how to prevent it, right? And is it novel? Yes, currently my economy is facing this problem. It is novel, right? Are you following? And is the problem specific? Yes, it is specific to people who are going to be affected, people who are affected, people who are already suffering, right? And people who are likely to be affected. Is it researchable? Yes. Maybe I will choose, say, some 1,500 population in a particular locality and check it, right? And again, sorry. So now what else will I be doing now, right? I'm going to say, the stronger the research problem is, they were successful in identifying all these three. What are the symptoms of COVID-19? When should I actually go for a test and find out if I am positive? And how is it spreading? It is spreading because of contact, right? Because of me using people's handkerchief, because of me directly standing near people, touching those people who are infected, etc. What are the measures to prevent? Mask, social distancing, staying at home. काफी सारे तरीके निकले थे, right? Now, coming back to what we were talking about. The research problem should be relevant to the field and supported by a number of recent, as I told you, मैंने पहले देखा था, right? कि काफी viruses के study किए गए थे, based on the symptoms, based on how they should distance, what are the methods applied to study, कैसे data लिया था, सब कुछ हमने पढ़ा था, बराबर? And then only I also had a clarity in my mind कि ऐसे कर सकती हूँ, नहीं तो सब हवे में करूँगी. I need actually to do the research. So I am going to be finding out previous evidences and finding out, right? And again, what will happen? Even if you identify the problem based on recommendation of one journal article or dissertation, again, I need to conduct, I need to check many more journals. I need to check many more published articles. एक से मेरा काम नहीं चलता है. लोग कैसे किए हैं, राइट? शायद उसका मेथड मेरे लिए एप्लीकेबल ना हो. शायद उसका मेथड, लाइक फॉर एग्जांपल, he would have conducted it for some village in Germany, and I want to conduct it in India. Say, some village. Indian villages are densely populated than German villages. Therefore, I need to find out exactly कि हमारे विलेज को suitable है ऐसे मेथड मुझे अडॉप्ट करना है, right? People may cooperate, people may not cooperate, it is crowded, it is not crowded, etc. Right? So, and again, researchers should support the problem that need for conducting research to further address. और भी मुझे इसके ऊपर रिसर्च करना है. जो किया है वही कॉपी पेस्ट करने का कोई मतलब नहीं है. उसी को डिफरेंट वर्ड्स में लिखूँ. I need to actually conduct. How is this different from earlier viruses? How is this similar to earlier viruses, etc. Right? Now, again, to identify review of literature, इसके बारे में अलग सा chapter पढ़ेंगे. But now when we are identifying the source of problem, we said real life, and we said that review of literature also helps you in reading. Now, I mean, identifying a problem. Like for example, let's take a fresh case, right? Supposing I say, मैं थोड़े बहुत research work पढ़ते आ रही हूँ, right? In some similar line. रिसर्च वर्क पढ़ते पढ़ते मुझे खुद के मन में क्वेश्चन आ रहा है. लेट्स से काफ़ी लोगों ने किया है, हाउ डस अ कम्युनिकेबल डिसीज स्प्रेड, राइट? किसी ने एयरबोर्न डिसीज के बारे में लिखा है, किसी ने वाटर बोर्न डिसीज के बारे में लिखा है, किसी ने इसे डिफरेंट टाइप के बारे में, लाइक से किसी कहीं चलने से कुछ डिसीज आ रहा है, कभी बैठने से कहीं कुछ डिसीज आ रहा है. ऐसे काफ़ी रिसर्चर्स ने काफ़ी रिसर्च आर्टिकल्स लिखे, तो मैंने देखा कम्युनिकेबल डिसीजेस के बारे में पढ़ा था. ठीक है, तो से 10-15 रिसर्चर्स मैंने पढ़े हैं. तो मुझे खुद को आ रहा है, कैन आई नॉट फाइंड आउट what are the diseases? Is COVID-19 fitting under any of these? So can I try that as a research? So I will start trying that as a research, right? I will start. मैं खुद एक प्रॉब्लम फॉर्मुलेट कर रही हूँ, खुद को क्वेश्चन आ रहा है, तो आई वांट टू स्टार्ट रिसर्चिंग ऑन इट. लेट मी चेक, राइट? Yeah, so I'm going to check this. Like for example, after this, say for example, you go to a company, you find that lot of BBI students are placed at a high position. काफी कंपनीज में. तो आप क्या कर रहे हो? आप पूछ रहे हो, आप सब आरजे के हो, किधर के हो, कैसे हुआ, एक्सेट्रा. So you also want to research what exactly did they do to reach such a high position in their career. बराबर? So this is a daily life situation, but when I talk about literature review, you are going to be reading a lot of research article, and you get into a frame of mind where you yourself start questioning certain things and wanting to research on them. So for research criticism. Okay? Criticism. Now, there are researchers that speak that stock market is one of the most powerful, most say profitable avenues of investment. काफी research पढ़े और मुझे दिख रहा है कि stock market is the most profitable avenues for avenue for make profitable avenue of investment. तो मैं क्या कर रही हूँ, वहाँ पे criticism भी लिखा है कि it is very risky, right? People also criticize market is very risky. You need to have high amount of capital. काफी criticisms लिखा है, drawbacks of the this thing, investment avenue, etc. करके. तो ये criticism is also disagreement of some authors. Some of them prove that it is profitable avenue. but at the cost of what? Your capital, correct? You have to invest a lot of capital. At the cost of what? Your risk appetite, right? रिस्क appetite ज़्यादा बनाओ तो आपको प्रॉफिट आएगा. तो मैं क्या करती हूँ? रिसर्च करती हूँ. I'm going to find out people who are investing. Is it really that you need to take a lot of risk? Is it really that you need to have a lot of money? तो ये सारे जो है, criticism is what? Some authors disagreeing with other authors. बराबर? Some authors of research do not agree with the other authors of research, and therefore they are going to be criticizing. So now what has happened here? Criticism has given me an avenue to research upon. Like for example, I say 90% of the BBI students are very, very sincere and hardworking, and hence they perform well. Some others will say, no, no, teachers support them a lot, so they work hard, so they score well, right? So there is some bit of disagreement. So I'm going to research on that. What exactly is the scenario? Are you following? Sources of new ideas. A general goal in writing college research papers, right? In the social sciences is to examine problem with some basic idea of what position. Like for example, I gave you the example of COVID-19, right? Now I realized that there were also some other symptoms, like somebody who had not had this fever, who had not had sore throat, is also tested positive. Barabar? Academically, when I wrote the research problem, I found that ki people with no this thing, symptoms at all are also positive. How can that be possible? Right? People who did not touch anybody also, once in a while किसी को मिला तो फटाफट आ गया. कैसे वो हुआ? So I am going to start researching on this, right? And then when I actually write, what did I say? Initially, पहले जब बोलते थे मैंने क्या बोला? When I write a research and I have a finding, I'm going to support it or say disagree with somebody saying that so and so also did the research, he had a similar finding as mine. समझ में आ रहा है? Supposing I say stock market is not all that risky as one thinks, or say for this was also this finding of mine is in agreement with finding of some XYZ who has already done a research and published his research in so and so journal. समझ में आ रहा है? So that is what we say, cite the source. Cite the source का मतलब है in a self बराबर. मैम प्रिया मैम ने भी बोला था ऐसे ही है. You want to emphasize on your finding, but you are including Priya's also. Priya also felt the same thing along with me. बराबर. मैम माला मैम ने भी यही कहा था. मैम कल इवेंट रखेंगे, माला मैम ने भी यही बोला था. Correct? So you are adding same way in academic research also. Support it with somebody else's findings, or either agree or disagree, whatever it is. You say so and so said this, but my results are not in agreement with this. Correct? Is to see how to formulate a research topic by looking at it from a different perspective. Like for example, I'm going to talk about researching from sociological journal, or I'm going to talk about researching from when I read literatures. I'm going to be reviewing about, like for example, historical context. Mein, let me take this also. Profits will go down if you incur advertising costs. Let me take it this way. Forget about sociological and all. अपना finance क्या ही देते हैं, right? Historical context में historical data देखती हूँ मैं. Previous studied researchers in industries like manufacturing industry में advertising. Example, I'm giving you. कि if there is going to be advertising cost incurred by a manufacturing industry, it will reduce the profit. So I am going to check for reviews, or I am going to check for literature studies earlier. किसी ने किया हो, and then I will check for sources, and then finally I find, and then accordingly I am going to write my research. That is one way. And if you talk from the same example that I have given you, like for example, let us say women. Women have not been considered to be powerful in the Indian society, as powerful as men in the Indian society. तो मैं क्या करूँगी? I will start writing on evolution of women. I will check from the history. कैसा था उनका life? कैसा था? I mean कैसे कैसे transformation हुए? What are the struggles that they had to go through? All these things will be researched, and then I will be making a judgment, and then I will start reporting based on what it is, or I will start preparing a write up based on whatever I studied, whatever I understood, whatever clarity is required with references. Following? Now, what are the other sources of historical context is I can always see how familiar I am with the topic, right? And how I can compare. Can I compare Rani Jhansi's life to, say, Chanda Kocha's life? What I am going to there may be similarity, there may be dissimilarity in their lives, right? But then I want to show the evolution of women, right? From those days till now. So I am going to study about those studies which show that women were not given any freedom, any independence, etc. And where women are given education, basic right, yet not given freedom. So many such things I am going to read. I am going to form an idea in my mind. I am going to quote some examples, of women CEOs, etc. And then I'm going to build upon my research work, right? Right from the history. So I may not be able to compare, as you said, Rani Jhansi's life and Chanda Kocha's life, because completely the time is different, their education level, their way of living, everything was different, right? Their profession was different, etc. But ultimately, we are talking about how women have been empowered today, right? How are they struggling today to get empowered? All these things are the aspects that I'm going to study. You get me?
Yes, ma'am.
Publication. Whenever I'm going to do reporting the research, we call it. मतलब जब रिपोर्ट लिख के पब्लिश करना चाहती हूँ या थीसिस सबमिट करना चाहती हूँ, प्रोजेक्ट सबमिट करना चाहती हूँ, it should have a positive impact on the field. जो फील्ड में कर रही हूँ women empowerment में, I will write that women आगे बढ़ के पूरा सोसाइटी को उन्होंने सत्यानाश कर दिया. तो do you think people are going to be appreciating me for that? घर आके पत्थर मारेंगे मुझे, बराबर? तो मैं क्या करूँगी? I will, my intention is to throw light on how women's lives have increased, I mean, improved, how empowered they feel, how secure they feel. So it should have a positive impact. It should help in transforming other women. It should help in gaining respect for the women folks in the society. बराबर? So I should write in such a way that जो जब रिसर्च किया और जब मैं रिपोर्ट को रिपोर्ट कर रही हूँ रिसर्च को, it should have a positive impact in the society, right? And then it should have a practical impact also. Tomorrow people should fill the gap of, I mean, tomorrow people should feel women should be filling this position. They are more capable of doing such a job. All these things should be a positive impact in them that should come after reading my research report, right? And then also that it should be applicable. हर जगह में apply होना है, right? And then it should fill the gap, knowledge gap जो है ना, between rural, urban women के बारे में कुछ research नहीं है. We don't know what it is. That gap has to be filled in. Are you following? Now the research has to be timely. Basically, when I said research timely है, तो बराबर उस हिसाब से आज जाके मैं रानी झांसी वॉज एम्पावर्ड लिखूं, शी वॉज एम्पावर्ड, नो डाउट, ओके, शी क्रिएटेड हर आइडेंटिटी, नो डाउट, बट देन when she fought, when she did this, times were different. Aaj aake I will quote Rani Jhansi's example and say women folks need to be empowered, women folks need to be doing this, etc. I need to have aaj ka data. Are you following? Historical data can be used as a support, but I cannot use that only and make a research. It is already researched and it is already worked on. Are you following? Any doubts so far?
No, ma'am, no doubt.
Steel manufacturing, steel export in 1950s cannot be uh, reported now because time has changed. There are a lot of people who have done research on this, and there are a lot of changes that have come in the field of steel. Therefore, can I say that in 1950 the GDP was low because manufacturing and import of steel was very export of steel was very low. So is it worthwhile reporting now? उस दिन में क्या हुआ वो सब उन्होंने देख लिया. आज पॉलिसी फॉर्मुलेशन के लिए कुछ काम आएगा? वो नहीं आएगा, राइट? So therefore, it has to be timely. So current question has to be addressed and it should support the problem that we are going to study. Current aspects को लो. Then only it will help people understand what it is. Following all of you? आज तो there are lot of areas where research has been done and over. Now, all that I can do is prove or disprove from my point of view what is actually this thing. But it has to add to the stock of knowledge. Kuch naya de do, right? People ko give something new. Like for example, third wave. Again, it was a research. What is this third wave? What is it going to? How is it going to harm the people? Which is the age group that is going to be affected, right? Etc. Now, when you talk about, say for example, I'm going to see, for example, if I offer something new, any exhaustive literature review, जितना literature आप review करोगे, reviewing them, that is why we say review, reviewing the literature मतलब already किसी ने study किया हो वो area में या related area में या whatever you're trying to say, like say for example, lockdown has hampered the economic growth. ठीक है? I will talk on economic growth, I will talk on lockdown, I will talk on its economic impacts, etc. तो ये सारे एरिया में जितना 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 लिटरेचर रिव्यू मैं करूँगी उतना मुझे और नॉलेज मिलेगा. I will get a clarity on what I should be researching on and what I should be reporting so that it is of use to the people now. Basically, if you see, say public sector banks में जब research करते हैं, it should help in making policies. बराबर? When I'm doing a research on profitability of public sector banks, then I should be adding to the stock of knowledge. When I'm doing a research on public sector banks, I'm going to be researching on what is actually the cause for its profit drop, and it should be helping the government and making policies, right? So talking to experts in the research area also can illuminate a problem. उसके ऊपर थोड़ा लाइट थ्रो कर सकता है. एंड रेप्लिकेशन ऑफ एन एग्जिस्टिंग स्टडी मैं ये वापस करना चाहती हूँ, देन अगेन आई नीड टू डिस्कस इट विथ माई peers, superiors, people who are experts in that field, etc. It has to be new. I told you research problem has to be novel, research problem has to be significant, research problem has to be timely, right? Has to be specific and clear. I will be talking about it specifically and clear, whatever is a research question. हवे में नहीं बोल सकती हूँ, बराबर. Now I have to be very specific. Like when you wanted the area of COVID. Now COVID-19 में the area of research I chose was how it spreads, what are the symptoms, and how can it be prevented, right? So have I given a clarity? So when I gave the clarity, it was specific. मुझे बस symptoms के बारे में जानना है, right? मुझे बस like what are its this thing, how to prevent it उसके बारे में जानना है. What measures if I apply, I will be able to prevent it. Then I also wanted to know exactly how it spreads. बस ये तीन. COVID-19 was a vast area. It was an area of research. But exactly what is my research problem? ये तीन questions answer करना था. समझ में आ रहा है? Supposing I say, I'll give you an example of vague research problem. ठीक है? Profitability in industry. ठीक है? I'm giving you an example. Profitability in industry. What is your research on? Profitability in industry. So can you tell me what I try to say here? What I'm trying to say here? I say that my research problem has to be specific and clear. Okay? Now, I'm telling you all that I'm doing a research now. You all will ask me, ma'am, आप किस पे research कर रही हो? So I am telling you profitability in industry.
That you are going to check
Do you
that
mean to say I am
profit.
specific? Do you mean to say I am
Yes, ma'am.
specific?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other answer here?
Yes, ma'am.
My question was, I had to say profitability. I had to say that I'm researching on profitability of industries. Okay. So, am I clear, specific in this topic? ये topic specific clear है क्या आपको? I repeat, when I choose a research problem, it has to be specific and clear. It has to be timely. It has to be novel, right? We said all these things. Now I am going to research. I'm going to research, and this is the title, Profitability of Industries. I want you to tell me if the topic is specific and clear. Shafiq,
Yes, ma'am.
Anu says yes. Shafiq says yes. Who else said now?
Yes, ma'am.
अभी और कौन था?
Priya.
Yes, ma'am.
Priya.
Priya said yes. Who else?
Ma'am, I have.
Clear. Correct. Now, it is not specifically clear, specific, or it is not clear. I'll tell you why. When I told you I want to study, I want to study about the profitability of industries. Which industry? It's an ocean, correct? It's an ocean. I cannot just be going into the ocean and finding a fish, particular fish. Practically not possible. ये ओशन में मुझे नैरो डाउन करना है. आई हैव टू बी स्पेसिफिक ऑफ स्टील इंडस्ट्री इन इंडिया. विच कंट्री? वो भी नहीं देगा. विच पीरियड? करेक्ट. मैंने कुछ भी नहीं स्पेसिफाई किया. इट इज नॉट स्पेसिफिक एंड क्लियर, एंड हेंस यू मे नॉट गेट अ डायरेक्शन. अभी मैंने ऐसे बोल दिया तो मुझे सारे इंडस्ट्रीज काफ़ी है, स्मॉल है, मीडियम है. I mean, there are n number based on capitalization, based on the, manufacturing या service industry. कौन सा industry का करूँ बेटा, right? So I need to be very, very specific. If I say steel industry, yes, it is an industry. Textile industry, for the period, बराबर, clear cut बोलना चाहिए, so that they will give me a direction. मैं अभी टेक्सटाइल का ही देखूंगी. Data will be only for textiles. And then for what period? Last 10 years, 2010 से लेके 2020 तक पढ़ूंगी. 2021 का data available है. I will study that also, right? So I have clearly stated. If I say, for example, let me rewrite this. Profitability of steel industry in India in the last 10-year period, right? Now this still isn't clear क्योंकि लास्ट 10 year period मैंने आज लिखा तो आप हो सकते हैं, बट somebody else reading it 10 year sense को क्या लगेगा? So I will write 2010 to 2021, 2020 और 21, ठीक है? Is this clearer? ये जो मैंने लिखा है, is this more specific?
Yes, ma'am.
ये specific है कि ये specific है?
Ma'am, second one.
सेकेंड वन। तो आपको भी आइडिया मालूम पड़ रहा है, और जब मैं रिसर्च करती हूँ मुझे भी आइडिया मालूम पड़ रहा है, बराबर? मैं यहाँ पे सब कुछ उठा के करूंगी, बट अल्टीमेटली ना कंप्लीट कर पाऊंगी, ना आई विल बी एबल टू गेट सेंस इनटू माय रिसर्च. सो देयरफॉर इट हैज टू बी स्पेसिफिक एंड क्लियर. सो going by this, we understood what is specific, what is clear, being clear about a research area. Now going to the next one, it has to be researchable. Obviously, this one actually is not researchable. I had no idea of what industry I am meaning. Banking industry भी हो सकता है, insurance industry भी हो सकता है, या सब कुछ लेके खिचड़ी भी नहीं कर सकती हूँ. I cannot compare insurance industry का profitability with iron and steel. One is service, one is manufacturing, बराबर? So all these things, it has to be researchable. This means researchability. It has to be feasible within the time limit. कौन सा period के लिए? शुरू से जब से दुनिया में चालू हुआ था तभी से या कभी से, right? That is not specified. Feasibility of the problem is more important than all the above characteristics. Now, as a researcher, you should be able to solve the problem with your abilities, available research methods, designs, research sites, resources, time frame. मुझे पता है, मुझे ये data मिलेगा, right? Then I will get into. See, if you ask me as a researcher, I would say I will get into only that area I feel I am comfortable. I will be able to add on to the new knowledge or support an existing knowledge that has been done by somebody else by giving my insights. Only I will get into such areas. Comfort, area of comfort, area of data availability, area that is going to be clear, specific, right? And research problem retails all of aforementioned characteristics, right? But if it is not researchable, then there is not at all a problem. देखो यहाँ पे सब कुछ है, right? You all said it is clear क्योंकि इंडस्ट्री का प्रॉफिट लेने वाली हूँ, right? But अगर वो researchable नहीं है, yeah, let us take it this way. COVID-19 के spread is going to be even say asymptotic patients में क्या क्या symptoms आते हैं. COVID-19 का कॉस्ट पता चला, प्रिवेंशन पता चला, बट अगर वो दुनिया में है ही नहीं तो ऐसे करते, ऐसे सोचो, सपोजिंग what if I start a steel industry in Mars, things in the year 2022? Practically, is it researchable? Practically approachable है? So it has to be researchable. Time specify किया, I was specific about the area, I was specific about my research idea, everything was clear, I was clear. But it is practically not researchable. Following all of you? We address the first of the 7 steps in research, right? Research methods में हमें 7 steps थे. 7 steps में से हमने पहला step research किया था, identifying a research problem. What is actually a research problem? It is all about area of research, topic of research, right? So research problem जो है heart of the study है. And therefore, when I identify a research problem, it is going to be the heart of the study, right? I'm going to find out what it is. So when I see what is actually a research problem, what I have to actually investigate, what I have to write on, what is the core subject matter that I have to communicate on, वो पहले मुझे क्लियर होना चाहिए. Then I said, where will I get a research problem from? What are the sources? कहाँ से मिलेगा research problem? First of all, I will identify the source. I will see day to day issue में क्या क्या हो रहे हैं. तो मैं observe करूँगी. मेरे को workplace में क्या है? Am I satisfied with my job? Factors adding to the satisfaction, right? I will search why am I satisfied or why am I dissatisfied. Correct? Now, these things will be identified. So, this is again, or if I'm going to talk about economy, economy में क्या क्या चल रहा है, हर एक सेक्टर कैसे ग्रो हो रहा है, why is it growing, why is it not growing, what is happening to that sector. So, sources of a research problem, ongoing daily basis, at home, at workplace, on my way to work, on my daily lifestyle, everything, right? Now, where else? Scholarly arena, where I will refer to earlier reports, databases on which I need to refer. Even when I see a set of data, 10 साल के input, output, production सब दिया हुआ है. Can I not start researching कौन से साल में कम हुआ है, कौन से साल में ज़्यादा हुआ है, etc. of a particular, say, steel industry बोला तो input, output, everything is given to me. I will start researching on that, right? Are you following? Evaluation of a research problem. एक बार मैंने potential idea evaluate किया, then I will ensure that it is appropriate for research. अभी a research problem is deemed appropriate only when it is supported by review of literature and it is considered significant. It has to be important, vital. आलतू फालतू चीज़ों में बाजू वाले के घर में क्यों टीवी नहीं चल रहा है, it is not my concern. That is not even going to add to any stock of knowledge, right? It just is a gossip. Research and gossip has to be differentiated. And then it has to be important or timely रहना चाहिए. Like you said, how can I stop the spread of COVID-19? Third wave का stoppage ढूंढ निकाल सकती हूँ if I research, right? So timely अभी के ज़रूरत है. How to build immunity in children. That is again a timely thing. And it has to be novel, something new. And it has to be specific and researchable. Now, the stronger research problems are more likely to succeed. You will be able to present it, publish it, and apply it in practical lives. I gave you the example of public sector banks' ka profitability, right? Why is it going down? Increasing NPS. So, see what measures can be applied as a policy on public sector banks. Now, just a small question, though out of topic. Why did I say public sector banks? May profitability policy can be applied. पॉलिसी मेकिंग, मैंने क्यों प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स का बात नहीं किया था? व्हाई इज द प्रॉफिट फॉलिंग, व्हाट इज द कॉस्ट एंड हाउ कैन पॉलिसीज बी इम्प्लीमेंटेड? मैंने अर्लियर कंटेक्स्ट में भी आई रेफर टू ओनली पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स. व्हाट इज द कॉस्ट ऑफ फॉल इन इट्स प्रॉफिट एंड आई विल आइडेंटिफाई and then it will be helpful for making policies. So what happens? Why am I not talking about banks in general and specifically about public sector banks? Can someone throw some light on this so that we all can understand? Of course, this is not something on RM, but as finance students, you should know. Because public sector banks policies are made by the government. You can always submit, this is because of it, and they can make policies and implement them. Private sector में it is their management. Banks के management करते हैं. We cannot influence all these things. And if you see foreign banks, again ownership is owned by foreigners, so we cannot influence it. समझ में आ रहा है? Idea is this. Now, yeah. And then any research problem you choose should be supported by literature. पहले किसी ने पढ़ा होगा उसके बारे में. They would have reported their research. Research reports देखते हो तो मालूम पड़ता है. And then even if you identify the problem based on recommendation, like 1 or 2 journal dissertation, आपको और भी पढ़ना होगा. बाकी लोगों ने क्या बोला है, ये इसने ऐसे कहा है, right? पर बाकी लोगों ने क्या कहा है, right? Say XYZ says Fine. Demand is low because people have low income. What is PQR saying? Right? Etc. etc. So abhi, now there are at least 4 appropriate roles. It is helping you. Review of literature का 4 रोल है. एक तो how to begin your topic. Topic का clarity देता है. कैसे कौन सा study करूँ. दूसरा है it is giving you a clarity in others findings. Right? तीसरा है it is also giving you a direction in which you have to proceed. चौथा है काफी लोगों के एरिया से आपका किधर डिफरेंट है. राइट. एंड सोर्सेस ऑफ क्रिटिसिज्म. अगेन आपको किसी ने कुछ क्रिटिसाइज किया हो, आप वो भी देखना चाहोगे. देखो कोरोना वायरस पानी से नहीं फैलता है बल्कि हाथ मिलाने से फैलता है. हाथ मिलाने से नहीं फैलता है, चीखने से फैलता है. Right? So people would have disagreed with a lot of views. That also gives you an area of research. You can counter argue, you can argue, right, in your approach. समझ में आ रहा है? Whereas in general, like for example, I say insurance agents enjoy a lot of benefit LIC में, right? But then not only that, they also go through a lot of problems. Somebody else must have added on to the knowledge, stock of knowledge. Somebody else says the benefits are much more than the amount of troubles that they take. समझ में आया आपको? So these are some areas that we keep trying to add stock of knowledge and cite them. किसने कहा? I will show you a typical citation, what it looks like. Now this is typically called as citation.
Yes, ma'am.
We are giving credit to those people who have already said it. And I'm going to say my findings or ये वाला जो findings इन्होंने जो बोला है, their findings is in line or is not in line. Okay. Now this research is reported. Do you see report matlab they have written a report and got it published. I'll go back to my PPT. You get me? So it has to be significant or vital enough or important enough to research, throw light on, and then it should have a practical impact, right? Direct application of the results, like if you engage them in production, yeah, if you engage them in economic activity, labor force participation bada unka, then their creativity also increases. In case you want to prove women are very creative, then they have a different style of management, they have a different style of leadership in them. You can prove that by employing them. So all these are practically applicable. You can engage them as managers in your organizations. All these were not there earlier, so you have added to the stock of knowledge. ये सारा research कर करके ही उन्होंने implement किया है, जिन्होंने भी किया है. Today you will not have women CEOs if research was not there, right? Or if knowledge was not added, or if things were not practically implemented, policies were not actually given. समझ में आ रहा है? Formulated rather. And it has to be timely. टाइम के हिसाब से होना चाहिए. 10 साल के बाद what is the way to prevent COVID after everything is gone is not going to make any sense. So I need to explore journals in the field. I need to check for what is the research gap there and what is actually the need of the hour and then start researching. And it has to be something new. As far as possible new, or should support the existing one, or should be in disagreement suggesting something new, and for which I need to keep discussing with already researched areas. If I'm going to focus on, I need to discuss with experts, I need to discuss with people who are in the industry, who need to earlier people who have researched in the same area, etc. And it has to be specific and clear. I gave you an example of how you make your research specific and how clear you can make. And it has to be a researchable area. And you cannot just say going to the Mars and setting up a tent and having a picnic there, right? I'm going to research on that. Practically, it may not be researchable. So